You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Good morning. I'm pleased to call to order the meeting of the directors of the USA Niagara Development Corporation for Wednesday, November 6th, 2024. I'd like to note for the record this meeting is being webcasted. I'd also like to note for the record that the public was given the opportunity to comment on the agenda items by submitting the written comments by 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday. I further note for the record that no comments were received from the public concerning today's agenda items. The directors have received the relevant written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I'd like to ask directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to the items on the agenda. If so, I ask that you make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time. We will then be sure that you recuse yourself from any discussion or vote regarding such item. I hear none from our directors. So our first order of business is the approval of the minutes of the September 5th, 2024 directors meeting. Are there any questions, comments, or deletions regarding that agenda? Please note that we do not have any comments from the public regarding this item. If not, may I have a motion for approval?
I'll move.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Thank you. The motion carries. I'd like now to call upon Anthony Velardo to present the next item on today's agenda. Authorization to enter into a contract amendment for demolition and site preparation services. Anthony.
Thank you, Chairwoman. On June 26th of this year, the directors adopted a general project plan for the First Street mixed-use building project. To enable construction of the development and interim improvements, USA Niagara has procured a contractor to demolish the 85,000 square foot building that is currently on the site, formerly known as the Native Center. In April of 2024, ACP Buffalo was identified as the lowest responsive bidder for the demolition of the existing building. The USA Niagara Board approved entering into a contract with ACP Buffalo on May 1st of 2024, and work began shortly after execution of the contract on June 10th. To date, ACP Buffalo has demolished a sizable portion of the building, but they have also encountered several unforeseen conditions. These site conditions were unknown to USA Niagara or ACP Buffalo during the planning and contracting phase of the project and were discovered during the course of work. These conditions include the presence of unknown utilities below the project site that have introduced complexity to the project, resulting in additional labor costs as well as additional planning and administrative costs. These unforeseen conditions have yielded several change orders to the contract, including a previous amendment of $75,000 that will exceed the original base and contingency for this project. The proposed amendment will add $321,345 to the total contract amount. The amendment will not affect the funding source and will add 120 days to the contract term. The funding source will be the New York State budget appropriations made available through the Buffalo Regional Innovation Cluster. No USA Niagara corporate funds will be used to fund the contract. We are requesting that the directors, one, make a determination of responsibility with respect to the proposed contractor, and two, authorize the corporation to enter into a contract amendment with ACP Buffalo Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $321,345, and third, to authorize the taking of all related actions. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Directors, any questions, comments?
Comment, 210, not 120 days. 7 months.
Did the change under number 5?
Seven months, yeah.
7 months.
I must be
Just a
reading off
typo,
the
120 and
210.
210 are all the same numbers. It's not a big one. See, I was reading, listening.
Great.
Mine is 120, so my
Yeah.
apologies.
It was probably your math teacher.
Fifth grade math wasn't kind.
Anybody, we don't have to make any,
No, that was,
Change.
I mean, it's correct in
It's
the
correct in your
actual-
materials. My material was
Yeah.
the first version.
there are no comments from the public. Scott, I don't know if you wanted to say anything, but,
No, I'm good with it. I
No?
would make that motion.
may I have a motion for approval of this item? Scott,
Motion approved.
and I'll second. Sandra, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. Thank you. The motion carries. Anthony will now present the next item on today's agenda, authorization to enter into a contract amendment for consultant services.
Yes.
Anthony.
This is related to the same project. Libero Engineering was retained by USA Niagara in November 2022 to provide engineering services for the demolition of the existing building located at 333 First Street. To date, the project has been engineered, bid, and the building has been demolished. The contract amendment will add additional funding to Libero's contract for additional administrative hours and additional subcontracting work related to the aforementioned unforeseen site conditions and additional design work related to new design requirements for the interim site improvements requested by USA Niagara. To that end, we are requesting that the directors, one, make a determination of responsibility with respect to the proposed contractor. Two, authorize the corporation to enter into a contract amendment with Libero for an amount not to exceed $28,145. And third, to authorize us to take all related actions.
Do you have any math questions?
No, man.
I got to think about that time.
As far as I know.
Any of the directors have any questions or comments regarding this item? We do not have any comments from the public regarding this particular item, so I will now entertain a motion for approval. Chandra?
Yep.
First,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Thank you. The motion carries. Anthony, please present the next item on the agenda, an authorization to grant a utility easement to the National Grid Corporation. Take it away.
Thank you.
It's the same.
Same property, yep. This is also related to the same issue with the
Yep.
underground utilities. USA Niagara purchased 333 First Street in downtown Niagara Falls in March 2019 through a strategic land acquisition program intended to assemble and revive long dormant properties near the Niagara Falls State Park. On May 1st of this year, the USA Niagara Board approved the contract with ACP Buffalo for the demolition and site preparation of the site. ACP Buffalo has completed a sizable portion of their scope of work, but they've encountered several unforeseen conditions, including the presence of an unknown live electrical service line below the site. This line currently supplies electrical services to the adjacent historic First Presbyterian Church located at 311 First Street. Before construction of the project can begin, this project we've previously used the GPP for can begin. The live electrical service line will need to be demolished and a new utility infrastructure will be required. New electrical poles and anchors will be installed by the Niagara Mohawk Power Corporation, doing business as National Grid, to provide electrical service to the First Presbyterian Church. The Niagara Mohawk Power Corporation is seeking an easement of approximately 10 feet by 140 feet, as shown in Exhibit A, to permit it to provide electrical service to the First Presbyterian Church located at 311 First Street. The easement would grant the Niagara Mohawk Power Corporation the right to access the property, install, inspect, maintain, and repair the electrical infrastructure necessary. The easement will benefit the project by allowing construction to begin while providing the neighboring property owner with continued access to electrical power service. Our recommendation, based upon the foregoing, that the directors are requested to, one, authorize the corporation to grant an easement to National Grid and described in these materials, take all related actions, and three, make a determination of no significant effect on the environment. Thank you.
All right, directors, any questions or comments on this particular item? Anthony, there's no cost to us on this one.
No, there's not. We had to pay a couple $100 to have an appraisal done, but that was just part of standard operating procedures.
We do not have any comments from the public, so may I entertain a motion for approval, please?
I would, motion to approve.
Scott,
A second?
Sandra, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Thank you. The motion carries. The next item on the agenda relates to an authorization to dispose of real property in accordance with the applicable provisions of the Urban Development Corporation Act and Public Authorities Law. Anthony? Please.
Thank you. The property in question is 478th Street. US Niagara acquired this vacant commercial parcel in 2019 as part of a larger strategic acquisition program where we acquired 27 parcels from a single property owner. While the property was not a primary target of the transfer, USA Niagara explored opportunities to develop the property in an attempt to restore it to productive use, but ultimately have determined that a transfer to the city of Niagara Falls to assist with the proposed extension of the John B. Daly Boulevard would have the greatest economic impact on downtown Niagara Falls. Subsequently, USA Niagara commenced discussions with the city and the purchaser of the property, who will be the city's urban renewal agency, to enhance the John B. Daly Boulevard extension project. In August of this year, the parties tentatively agreed that we would transfer the property for a sum of $1. So we are requesting that the directors, one, authorize disposition of real property by USA Niagara in accordance with the applicable provisions of the Urban Development Corporation Act and Public Authorities Law. Two, authorize the officers of USA Niagara to take all related actions related to the foregoing. And three, make a determination of no significant effect on the environment.
Thank you, Anthony. And the city is agreeable, obviously.
Yes.
Any questions or comments from the directors, please? We do not have any comments from the public. I will now entertain a motion for approval, please.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, motion carries. Anthony, this is the final agenda item. Board members, authorization to enter into a joint funding agreement with DNUSA. Anthony.
Thank you. The USA Niagara Development Corporation is the owner and developer of the Niagara Falls Convention Center, a 116,000 square foot convention exhibit center located at 101 Old Fall Street in downtown Niagara Falls. The USA Niagara Board of Directors on October 12, 2021 authorized the agency to enter into a 5-year agreement with the Niagara Tourism and Convention Corporation, doing business as Destination Niagara or DNUSA, to provide management services for NFCC for a 5-year term starting January 1st, 2022. First opened in 2004, NFCC has now been in operation for 20 years. USA Niagara and Destination Niagara jointly desire to assess the current facilities at the convention center through a joint funding agreement in order to identify areas for improvement and to develop recommendations for space utilization to enhance the convention center's capabilities as a premier convention and event venue. To undertake the analysis required, Destination Niagara undertook a competitive procurement process through a request for proposals in collaboration with USA Niagara to select a professional consulting firm. Hundon Partners of Chicago, Illinois was selected to conduct a facility assessment of Niagara Falls Convention Center. Under the terms of this agreement, USA Niagara agrees to reimburse Destination Niagara for 50% of the cost of the facility assessment, with a maximum reimbursement to Destination Niagara of $24,900. ESD staff has determined that the action, which would involve entering into a joint funding agreement to undertake a conditions assessment, would not commit USA Niagara to any particular project in the future and constitutes a Type 2 action as defined by the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and the implementing regulations of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. Based on the foregoing, the directors are requested to authorize the corporation to enter into a joint funding agreement with Destination Niagara for the Niagara Falls Convention Center facility assessment and provide funds to Destination Niagara on the terms and conditions set forth in these materials. Thank you.
Anthony, what's the time frame on that?
They have already issued the contract to Hunden, who is currently looking at the utilization of the facility. So we expect to have a final report soon.
Good, and then we'll get a presentation or.
Yep,
a finding.
we can work on that for a future board meeting for you.
I don't know.
Happy to do so.
I'd like to know. Board members, anybody have comments or questions? There are no comments from the public, so with that, I'd like to entertain a motion for approval on this item.
I would make a motion to approve.
Scott,
I'll second.
Chandra, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting? Chandra.
My turn.
Second.
And thank you to the staff, New York.
Thank you.
That concludes our meeting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.